Good evening. Welcome to the special meeting of the Goffstown Zoning Board of Adjustments this evening. New Wave applicant is appealing an administrative decision that off-site business signage at two properties is not allowed as per section 6.2, 6.4, 6.4.1, 6.4.11 of the Goffstown zoning ordinances. The property locations are 129 South Mass Street, Hazelwoods Family Trust, property owners, map 30, lot 70, zoned commercial, and the other property is 167 North Mass Street, Philip and Ginny Bodwin, property owners, map 7, lot 4, zoned residential 1. At this time, my name is Kathy Hooten. I am chairman of the Goffstown Zoning Board, and I'd like the other members to introduce themselves.
Vivian Blondo.
Gayla Bruck.
Alan Yeaton, alternate.
And staff?
Brian Rose, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Okay. So we are here tonight to decide whether or not we are going to reconsider the decision that was made in December about the administrative decision of Brian Rose regarding New Wave Electric.
I make a motion not to reconsider. I hope I have a second for discussion.
Well, I'll second it for discussion.
I think what's just being said here is that off-business signage, it's not the signage we're talking about, it's a registered vehicle we're talking about. As far as I'm concerned, everybody puts advertising on their vehicles. This is not the first time this has come up since 1980. We've had it come up about 6 times. And it's not illegal to park a vehicle off-site. If it's illegal, I want to know why it's illegal and how come it makes it illegal. There's other considerations taken for advertising, which is all the trucks have advertising put on. I know a company that has their employees have vehicles, and they advertise on their vehicles, and it's the employees' vehicles, but the company advertises on their vehicles. How else is a business supposed to promote business? I feel that if there's any illegal, well, you say signage, advertising, I think we should look around town at all the signs that are up at ball fields or wherever for advertising, not on their property. Why are we focusing on a vehicle or several vehicles that are registered? This is not the only one. There's 2 or 3 that I've seen around town that's parked in their friend's yard or on another business location. So for that, I'm taking a motion not to reconsider because I don't think we have anything to consider.
Al, would you like to speak to the reason why you requested this rehearing?
I gave it a lot of careful consideration because I voted in favor of it.
I know you did.
And then I started I looked around in this particular instance, because we're judging this instance and no other instance. And for 2 weeks, I looked every day. And then I reread the minutes of the meeting and the presentation by the applicant, and I don't think that we were told exactly what was being done. I saw no activity at any of those trailers. I didn't see a move from the site. As a matter of fact, the one on the, I want to say, the 129 South Mass, it's
Which one is that?
It's actually in the snowbank right now. You couldn't get it out if you wanted to at the moment. It was
Now you're saying now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I haven't seen it in the snowbank, but go ahead.
Which one is 129?
That's one.
Oh, accelerated?
Accelerated.
Okay.
And I saw no foot traffic around the trailers, and he sat here and said he's in there often because he tried to make the argument that it was used a lot, and it's not used a lot. Secondly, that the owner of the property has a due diligence to ensure that parking on his property conforms to the ordinance, which that trailer does not. Parking on a commercial site cannot be within how far back from the front property line?
10 feet.
10 feet. This one is even with the telephone poles. Now, telephone poles are in the right-of-way. So, I am of the opinion if Hazelwood wants to have cars and vehicles parked in their lot, then they need to submit a site plan and indicate where they're going to park, what they're going to park, and to be quite honest with you, I don't care what they park there once they have approved site plan, which they don't have.
Once they have a what?
Have a site plan indicating where parking would be allowed by the planning board. The planning board has seen that site on numerous occasions, and nothing's ever been done to that property to indicate where that setback line is, where the property line is. The only thing I have to go by is the GIS map and the physical evidence on the site. And I don't think it conforms to the ordinance.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just would like to just point out to the board members that this is hopefully a discussion of whether or not to reconsider,
Yeah.
and not necessarily a discussion of the merits of, you know, the reasons or all of that, why one decision should be made or another. The decision should hopefully be to continue that to a date in February where we can do this under a public hearing fashion where members of the public can be here to speak to issues that are raised by members of the board or by other people.
Well, I just want to say one thing, please, that since I've got the notice on this thing for the rehearing, I have not seen the trailer there. I have seen his truck there, but I have not seen his trailer. I guess his trailer must be on wherever, on site. And you say that they should be 10 feet from the pole. Well, those Planet Aid and all these other ones are right on the pole. So, I mean, what are we going to, and I'm on the bench. I won't say anymore, I'm just saying.
I think,
Okay.
again, if
Okay.
we can stick to whether or not the board feels their decision was good enough to hold up, or whether or not they feel like they need to revise it because they feel like they, you know, could make it a better decision. That's kind of what we're here to decide tonight, and then get into all the particulars when it's under a duly noticed public hearing.
I think I was more swayed when I read the minutes of the meeting that what they were stating at the meeting was not a fact. And that bothers me more than anything else.
Was not in what?
Was not a fact, was not factual. And secondly, I read the various cited paragraphs, and I made a specific comment about one of them, about A-frame signs, which was totally incorrect in terms of what I thought it meant. And I honestly believe that that a person has a right to have a sign on a trailer. I guess you can park it any way you want if there's an agreement with the property owner.
You got to, once again, Brian has asked us to
Yeah.
not get into the particulars,
Okay.
but we are
Well, we're
supposed
on a
to.
roll here.
I know you are. You two have been on a roll for years.
But what I think is that it's worth reconsidering the topic and the application. Because to me, it's different, because it's an appeal of a decision made by our zoning administrator. It's not an application to the ZBA. And I just haven't read enough about what that all means.
Okay.
I believe it's to be a yes or no. And there's no, they talk about hardship. I don't think that was relevant. I think there's a lot of things said that was not relevant.
You're getting into
Yeah, I understand.
and I can understand why you venture down that path when you know you don't want to, but you get talking and we all venture down that path.
I'm going to just say that traditionally when we have had a request for a rehearing or an appeal, we have traditionally, not always granted, but given it that second listen, just in case we needed to revise something, clear something up. There may be more information that we'll better understand or something, and we have traditionally done that. I would say more often than not.
Well, what I'm going to say is that I don't think the reason for us to be here this evening for a reason for reconsideration is a good reason. The administrative decision deals with the terms of signage. The reason for the appeal deals with referencing code, which deals with parking. Parking, the RSA of parking, 7.3.5, which you have mentioned, to me, is not even referenced in the administrative decision. So, personally, I do not accept that reason as a reason that we actually should have been here tonight. And I'm sorry that I didn't realize it earlier, because I don't know if it's even an acceptable reason for a reconsideration, because parking under that particular RSA was not even referenced at all.
Madam Chair, if I may, excuse me.
Yes?
Okay.
Does it have to do with process?
I was just going to mention, reasons don't have to be stated tonight. Whether, it can, people can say,
I understand. Excuse me, Brian, I am stating my reason. You do not have to discuss that.
All right.
I really do have issues as to assumptions that are made based upon language that I cannot establish any definitions for in this administrative decision. I believe there was a comment made at the end of the meeting where you said that something about that it was too cumbersome, or the administrative decision was, he thinks the language, Al Yaten said he thinks the language needs to be improved. It's not specific enough. As this administrative decision is written, I'm not in favor of going over this administrative decision again. There could be other administrative decisions that would be made regarding this particular issue. I think it opens up a wasp nest in this town. I think I read that in the minutes that we have in front of us. But I don't want to mix apples and oranges here. I really am not in favor of going over this again.
Well, when you talk of the RSAs for the parking and things that were addressed that weren't previously, that could be part of the new information that would come forth.
I would rather see that. Well, no, I think that when you start to pull that into it, you're going outside the boundaries of the administrative decision. The administrative decision is specific as to what of the ordinances it is to me, it is in violation of. And every single one of the ordinances that are listed here are in the Chapter 6 that deal primarily with signage, and it has nothing to do with Chapter 7, which deals with parking. And to get into that discussion when it is not part of the administrative decision, to me, would be inaccurate, and I would certainly not walk down that pathway. If there is to be another administrative decision, which could be on this because of the parking violations, when it references the parking, so be it. But this is all based on the signage issues, and that's my grounds for my decision.
Madam Chair, if I can, I just want to kind of follow up with what I was trying to say earlier. A motion to reconsider in this case tonight doesn't by no means make a new decision. It grants the board the opportunity to revise their decision that they made and the reasons they had utilized to make that decision. And if the board sees, error of its own in a decision that they make, then they have the opportunity within the 30-day appeal period to correct that so that they don't have issues down the road. That's the full purpose of doing a reconsider in this instance. So, and reasons don't necessarily have to be, every reason doesn't necessarily have to be stated. You could say, I don't feel like I made my decision correctly, or I don't feel like we made it as a board a decision well enough that it can hold up, and leave it at that. You don't have to go into any details tonight, but then
Right, I've been
on
through a
another
motion
night.
I've been through this before.
Okay.
And I
I'm just
understand,
explaining-
I understand what is on the table, and I've been over it and over it and over it and over it in my mind. I have read it, I've read the minutes, I've been on the phones, I've been talking, and I am where I am with it. I'm very comfortable with my decision.
I keep going back to the fact that Brian said at the last hearing that before he took this action, he talked to Bill Drescher, and Bill Drescher was in agreement with him on the position that he took.
But Bill Drescher did not know, or did he know, that it was a registered motor vehicle?
And though,
That's a question that remains.
I
to
don't
be
disagree with that, by the way, I don't.
Huh?
I disagree with the location of and how it's used, and how it was presented, because I don't believe it was presented truthfully, period. I mean, if someone wants to allow someone to park on his site, then he has to allow him to park in it in a conforming fashion, period. I believe it's this board's right to modify their, I'll call it approval, to a condition that meets the zoning ordinance.
I would agree with you on that one, but again, it was not part of the administrative decision. We are talking about the facts of the administrative decision. That, to me, is primary.
Correct. But isn't it the position of the board and its members to modify and/or amend a decision or add conditions to a decision?
No, not necessarily.
Has he been told to
Not
move- to
necessarily.
move his vehicles
And
away, 10 feet away from the?
I don't want to get into the
Yeah.
particulars, but all of the issues of him moving the vehicles, I have watched very carefully. They have been moved. Safety issues are another issue that could be put on the table, but these are not part of the issues that were discussed in the administrative decision. And I say stick to the verbiage, stick to what was said in this particular administrative decision. If there is other administrative decisions that address other ordinances and other issues that deal with this, then so be it. But this is this administrative decision, and I don't want to mix apples and oranges on it.
Understood. But is it not fair that with the knowledge of members of the board as to particulars that are contained within the ordinances, that they don't conditionally approve something meeting those standards? I believe that's something that is done. If someone presents a project, and you know that the board...
We're not in that right now. We're talking about an administrative decision.
That's correct.
We're not talking about making conditions of an administrative decision. We're not talking about changing the verbiage of the administrative decision. We are talking about the administrative decision and the meat of it. When you look at site plans and when you look at other applications, that's when you can start with your conditions. That's when you can start to change around those areas. But this isn't a question of conditioning. This is a question of accepting this administrative decision for the verbiage.
And I didn't read anything in the Bible about how to handle administrative decisions either. There's a single note that I found. It gives you any guidance on
In this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking but we've been through them for years. You know, Derek made many administrative decisions, and we went through all of those.
Yeah.
And it's specific to what the administrative decision has said.
We're not all perfect.
I know that. I'm old enough to know that.
He made an administrative decision, and we don't agree with it. We have the right to do what we feel is right. We felt that his administrative decision was not in our favor. And I think it's not critical. I think it's just that we can't always agree. So we didn't agree. And the reason being is right here in black and white. We did not agree with his administrative decision. So is he at fault? No. All right. We just went through it, and we felt that, and he's not the only one that we've said no for an administrative decision. There's been a whole lot more. And not only the other planners, there was Andre who was a planner, there was, I'll tell you, there's quite a few that I can name that we've said no to their administrative decision. Not often, not often, not often.
He was a plan.
Not often, but it happens. We're not dictators. I have my motion. So we can hammer this all evening long. I have a motion not to reconsider. I'd like to get this on the road.
Any further discussion? Okay. That being said, all those in favor to not grant a reconsideration, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
All right.
We are not reconsidering it.
Need a motion to adjourn.
I had a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
And so we'll see you next Tuesday night for our general meeting. And everybody have a safe